little and all. And now she's gone, and I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world. Are you rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Hi, friends. I am Elise Anamkara for Anamkara Astrology. Thank you so much for joining me. This is my moon saving symbol report for the new moon. So happy new year. We are now officially in the year of the ox. We have left the year of the rat. It was quite a year and it was a challenging year. We're still here. So congratulations, and you're killing it, all right? Just saying that right now. Don't worry what other people are doing. And at the same time, make sure that you're having these open and honest dialogues, communicating your reality, your point of view, your experience. If we rely on these truths, these collective truths that we assume to be self-evident, we are going to go wildly astray. And Aquarius, we have so many planets in the sky in Aquarius. We have Mercury retrograding through Aquarius that is really asking us to I put in parentheses, invent ourselves, because really we're inventing ourselves for the first time. So I'm gonna go into the Sabian symbol for the actual degree that the new moon took place, 23 degrees 17 minutes of Aquarius. So the karmic condition will be Aquarius 23. And the focus of the new moon, the lesson, is that of Aquarius 24. Okay, so the Lunar New Year, Happy New Year, Year of the Ox. It's a very different feeling. And it's very important that as we embark on our new understanding of the material world, the physical world, that we get more in touch with what we want in our lives, what we see for ourselves, of understanding where it is that we have been for, you can say, since the last lunar cycle, but really it's going way, way further back, okay? We are really coming into the age of Aquarius, and the karmic condition is the force or the energy, or what I like to call the pre-beat, because in theater, the pre-beat is what has happened right before the beginning of a scene, what a character has experienced spiritually, physically, psychologically, that brings them, that impels them to enter a scene and enter into conversation with another person. And it colors what it is that they are feeling. It informs them as to the condition of their physical being, their spiritual being, and of course what it is that they need and or want from that individual once they enter into the action of the scene. So a similar thing takes place for us energetically with the moon. And this new moon, the karmic condition of it is the Sabian symbol of Aquarius 23, a big trained bear sitting down, waving all of its paws. It's kind of a hilarious symbol to me. And at the same time, it speaks a lot, right? You have this like nature image, an animal, you know, in the wild, you'd probably run away from. So this is a big trained bear that is doing tricks that it has been trained, conditioned to do. We're the bear, okay? And honestly, the symbol is saying that we've been conditioned to learn things and to act in a way that is very much against our nature, very much against our instincts. And it has worked for us in the past. I mean, obviously the bear is staying there because for reasons, whether it's because it's being rewarded, because it's been trained to be there, maybe by force. Maybe it doesn't know. Maybe it was born or raised in captivity, which I feel a lot of us have been. So it knows that, you know, by raising its paws in the air and doing this thing, that it's going to get a reaction and that it is going to be safe by kind of playing the game, by acting its part. So that brings us to the bad news, which is a lot of us are unaware that we have been trained or conditioned to stay in these artificial circumstances and to do things that are against our instincts, but we're so removed from our instincts and from what really benefits us, because we are still adhering to this reward system or to the safety of this artificial environment, that we're very far removed from our own inner voice. In this artificial environment, we still exhibit, kind of like this sense of play. And when I thought about this and I was kind of meditating on this symbol, there's kind of two ways that we can go about it. Once we realize that this environment is artificial, that it's a construct, and that we're a huge fucking bear, okay? That if we decided to, could completely maul our trainer, and just like tear ass back out into the wild. Let's be real, most of us are not prepared to do that. Some of us are, and I'm very excited for those of us that are, because that's one way to just go headlong into the age of Aquarius. It's just be like, you know what, fuck this cage, like fuck doing tricks for these people, fuck the crowd, fuck the audience. And Aquarius is very fuck the audience, right? And Aquarius is its own individual creative self-expression for the purpose of exhibiting and embodying its own individual creative self. It's the raise your freak flag and wave it as high and proud as you possibly can, and not so that it draws attention to you, but so that you can experience that freedom and liberation and pride and joy that really comes from being able to do that. That is the ultimate freedom and the ultimate gift that we have by coming here and enduring the shitty stuff about a physical existence, and being able to have the freedom to show your power, show your might through your own creative individual self. This symbol also has a lot about the ability to develop new skills. I mean, obviously, it's a bear that has learned how to, sit up and put its paws in the air and do all this, kind of stuff that is, it's been trained. So we obviously have the ability, the capacity to learn new things. But the very important thing to do is to make sure that you check in with yourself and ask yourself, are you actually doing something that you want to be doing, that you would choose for yourself? And if you're not, then to play and experiment inside the security of the place that you find yourself, to find what about the situation is something that is in alignment with you. And if it's nothing, then, especially if you're, just performing these acts, playing your role to make others feel comfortable, to follow some kind of like societal rule or norm or social protocol, do something else. Imagine this bear realizes that it's a bear and that it doesn't need to be doing any of these things. In fact, it will still get a reward just for not mauling its and not for mauling its trainer to death, or like leaping out and lashing out at the crowd. It doesn't have to perform the tricks, you know what I'm saying, to get the reward or to enjoy the security of the environment that it's in. But it also, if it wants to really push the boundaries of that, to really test the boundaries, it also has the ability to do that. And the first thing I thought of was the Truman Show, when he starts like testing what would happen if in this environment that I feel like it's controlled in a way that is artificial, that is like beyond nature, like the organic, natural happenings and like flow of life. And it has the ability to experiment. And Aquarius is the mad scientist, you know what I'm saying? So if you feel like something's funky and you feel like you're just like a bear on display, know that you're a huge, enormous, powerful being with the power to control one's environment and its audience. All it has to do is shift its mindset. First, all it has to do is become aware and then ask itself what it wants to do. Do I want to continue going on with what I've been trained to do, what I do by rote, by habit, that I'm conditioned to believe that if I do it, that I will ultimately have a beneficial response or retrieve some kind of benefit afterwards? Or am I staying in this place because I have been conditioned by society or some value system that is external to myself to want to be on display, to want to be the center of attention, because I have been taught by society and by what society seems to reward, that by putting myself on display and being the center of attention, that at least everyone's attention is on me, and that makes me feel valuable, that makes me feel something. That's where it gets dangerous, you know what I'm saying? So the good news is, again, you can choose how you interact and what you interact with, and you have the ability to choose whether you continue on with the charade, which I'm going to recommend you don't. Okay, charades are bad. Pretend is bad. Even in acting, we say that acting isn't acting. Acting is being. It's being yourself and reacting authentically in circumstances that are fictional, but that you are fully invested in. So understanding that the society that we find ourselves in, that the environment that we find ourselves in, and that even the rules by which we've been abiding by in a collective agreement are the rules, those are also made up. You know, so like, let's have more fun with it. Let's have a lot more fun with it. You know, you're not the only bear there. There's probably another bear just like a few, you know, blocks down doing the same shit. Get together with the other bears, man. Talk about, you know, compare notes, you know. Maybe you guys can just, I'm not saying like have a mutiny, but like maybe you guys just go on strike. The karmic condition of the new moon is that we have been in a performance that maybe we did not realize was a performance before. Now that we know it's a performance, we have the ability to take responsibility for ourselves and our own power to change our, whether or not we are complicit with it, if we want to put on a different show. Something that is more in line with our highest vibrational selves, or at least with our instinctual selves. Some of the key words of the Sabian symbol are developing skills, rote responses, expecting others to perform, very important. Are you expected to perform and or expecting other people to perform? Especially when you have a realization of what the truth is and other people have the realization of what the truth is. Are you having active conversations about it? Or are you still pretending like your truth and my truth and the truth are still the truth of yesterday, are still those, that the truth that we hold, you know, as self-evident? It's not self-evident. You're a bear performing tricks, okay? That's fucking crazy. You should be out catching fish somewhere, all right, in a stream. Stop expecting yourself to perform and stop expecting other people to perform. It's everyone's choice for themselves whether or not they continue on with the thing or they test the boundaries and the actual rules of their own existence. Because that's the only way that you learn and really learn to take responsibility for creating the existence that you want. There's play in performance, recreation. I believe recreation is recreate Zion. We both learn about our mystical life and the mundane by reenacting it and being re-inspired by it, or at least giving ourselves the chance to analyze it in a different way, because hindsight is 2020. And something that happened that's seemingly out of the blue or for no reason at all, or reasons that are beyond your grasp, by actually recreating it in a meaningful way means that you can actually, you know, extract the actual meaning, the actual significance about it, instead of just mindlessly going along with a charade. So make sure that you are doing stuff mindfully, purposefully, and understand that the alternative ultimately is to basically gaslight yourself into, you know, saying that this is all that there is, even though you've already seen, you know, you've already peeked behind the curtain. Truman's already seen that, you know, huge light fall from the sky. and knows that this is not the world as he thought it was. So when you gaslight yourself, you literally give up not just yourself, you give up your power, and you give up control over your own destiny. And this karmic condition is about understanding that you actually are the powerful, enormous, wild, feral beast that has been conditioned to operate in very contained, artificial circumstances in an artificial way that is against its most organic nature, its instinctual nature. And now you have to choose for yourself whether this conditioned behavior is one that is actually in alignment with your highest vibrational self, or if you're just adhering to the safety of, I know that if I continue to do this, this will be the response. And maybe you're okay with that. It's only for you to decide. The last part of the karmic condition is this part I'm taking 100% verbatim from Linda Hill's interpretation. Are people knowing the truth and choosing to perform anyway? And if so, for what reason? So that is an actual quote from Linda Hill's 360 Degrees of Wisdom. This is a really important question to ask yourself and to ask the people around you. Ask why the fuck would they continue to be a big ass bear on a little ass stool with its paws in the air? Because right now, like, this new moon was sextile the lunar nodes, okay, which are the axis that tells us where we have been and what kind of standard mode of operation that we have seen in the past. And the opposite sign, which in this case is Gemini, is the path towards evolution and to raising our awareness, raising our consciousness of the entire collective. So this new moon is supporting this conversation. It's supporting the path towards accounting for the dogma that we have adhered to these institutions and collective ideals that we have held on to and operated from in the past, and the need to have an open and honest dialogue as individuals, each expressing our own individual experience and own individual truth, to come to a new collective understanding of what reality and what the truth is, and how we can all allow ourselves to be in alignment and act in our truth, and having room and space for everyone to do that in the collective, to have a collective of truth as opposed to a collective of false circumstances, of falsehood, really. And so the new moon is supporting this, but at the same time, Neptune, which rules not just dream, psychic, artistry, whatever, it also rules the media, and it rules delusion and illusion, like literally media spin. The same thing that gives you the ability to put an artistic, to take artistic license that is divinely inspired, also has the ability to obscure or dissolve the truth, or to kind of mix the myth with the truth in a way that is, when done with malice or with malintent or for the purpose of control, can really seem like the truth, or can at least cause enough confusion so that there's uncertainty, that it causes an uncertainty both in the individual and the collective. So while at the same time this new moon is supporting this pathway towards our consciousness evolving through towards examining what it is that we have believed to be the truth in the past, we also have the opportunity to talk and communicate with each other and learn about the actual truth, what is actually going on. And Neptune, i.e. the media, okay, but also, the overall collective, like, psychic impression is one of illusion, delusion, and deception. So I'm going to say again that quote that I got 100% from Linda Hill, which is, are people knowing the truth, Okay, the truth has been revealed. These are false, awkward, not natural circumstances that we have all learned and agreed to and been conditioned to respond to and act and perform in ways that are against nature, our own, and just nature as in like the earth. And are people still choosing to perform? And if so, why? This like came up to me when I realized, you know, this is gonna sound so weird, but when I saw the hashtag Free Britney, okay, and the people that were coming forward to apologize for benefiting from misogyny, from patriarchy, and you know, I think that apology is the first step, and accounting for one's previous actions as well as their present actions is a first step. And yet an apology without change in action is just like another form of gaslighting, really. You know, it's just like it's setting up the expectation. They're expecting you to perceive them differently, even though they're not actually changing what they're doing. They're just saying that they are. So that's deception. So an apology without a change to the action is deception. It's just another seed. It's another carrot dangling. It's another form of narcissism. You know what I'm saying? It's another way of controlling people. You don't have to play. You're a huge fucking bear, okay? you can just say no. You can just say no and be like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find the nearest watering hole and I'm gonna get a drink and I'm going to grab some fish, and then I'm gonna find a nice place to take a nap, all right? And fuck you and your tricks and all this kind of stuff. I don't need it. I don't need you. I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna find out what's true and what's not outside of this Truman Show, okay? And anyone who's not willing to do that, you guys say in the Truman Show, we're gonna be out here keeping it extra real, okay? So that need for that understanding of that the media and the things that we are looking to that are they're actually, it's instead of informing us, it's actually constantly diluting the truth. So it's really up to you and your own individual self to account for your own individual experiences and to hold the individuals in your immediate environment accountable for speaking their truth, for listening to your truth, and for being open and honest and receptive to really constructing a new collective truth. In my notes I put Neptune, i.e. the media, is like a fog machine, making things less clear and more dramatic than they really are. The media spin / delusions. Leading up to the new moon, the media is supporting the negative manifestations of this condition and the conditions that we live in or that we perceive to be reality, which are, these are the negative manifestations: not thinking for ourselves, not recognizing that we have been taught to act against nature, and then make excuses for why we continue to do the same shit instead of using our intelligence, which we've obviously demonstrated because we've learned these skill sets and these ways of being that are outside of nature. They're not ingrained, they're not inherent. So obviously we're intelligent enough, we're evolved enough to be able to develop these new things. So it's a whole lot of shit when we say, I realize that this is wrong, but I'm gonna keep doing it because I don't know any other way to be, or like I can't learn a new way to be. That's bullshit. And you have to ask why. Why are you continuing to do that? Because you have the ability to change course. We already know. And the third thing that the media is totally inciting is the ability or like a want or need, creating the need or the want to act crazy and to give up control of one's destiny and adhere to this idiotic need to being the center of attention because at least it's something. It's like, I don't have a grip on reality. I don't even know who I am. I don't know who I am without these conditions or without the reward that I've always been given for performing these tricks. And instead I'm just going to stay as long as the attention is on me, I'm fine. And that's all I need to feel fulfilled and valuable. And then the other kind of flip side of that is being deject and being ill-tempered and then making a big fucking deal about everything and waving your arms around like crazy and not doing anything constructive. Now you are your own, you're like eclipsing the good or the ability to change by just kind of disengaging, and your limited engagement is only like from your ego. And ego is a good thing. Ego protects the spirit inside of it, but not being like immobile and non-receptive is like as equally as detrimental as knowing that the world that you live in is a lie, and being like, yeah, but I'm gonna continue doing it anyway, and not giving any reasons why, and not even asking yourself why. A last quote to sum up the significance of this karmic condition of the new moon before we go into the focus, okay? Because this is the energy that brings us into that moment of that new beginning, that new consciousness that is the new moon. Is everything pays for growing tame. That is a quote from Maxine Kumin. Everything pays for growing tame. That is our pre-beat to the beginning of the scene, the beginning of Act 1 of the new lunar year of the ox, of the metal ox. A man turning his back on his passions teaches deep wisdom from his experience. A man turning his back on his passions teaches deep wisdom from his experience. Not from some old, crusty, dusty law book, philosophy book, book of law, book of religion. These are all things that we can be passionate about, we can see value in, we can have learned a lot of knowledge from. But wisdom comes from knowledge that you have absorbed or learned, maybe from a textbook, maybe from a person, and that has been tried and chipped away, right, through the trials of life and experience, personal, individual experience, what you have lived through. And all of a sudden that knowledge, the facade, that intellectual facade, gets chipped away, revealing just the essence behind that knowledge, which is wisdom. And that is what is universal. And what is universal is best shared through the most authentic and honest sharing of one's personal experience. Why it was valuable to them, why it is valuable to them, how it changed them, how it changed you, how it changed me, and that is like when you are a witness to the human experience, one human to another. And all of a sudden some people are more empathic than others. Some people find it easier to put themselves in someone else's shoes. And yet there's something about when someone is just super just raw and honest about something that it is that they've been through and how it changed them, that just sends a ripple effect to everyone, to that, like, you're really like bearing witness, and it gives you courage. It gives you excitement to bring in this new moment, this new consciousness, and the new you, honestly, and to really focus on what it is that you can let go, what it is that you let go of in that dark moon phase leading up to the new moon. Because when you let go of the things that don't matter anymore, and you acknowledge that they mattered to you once, then you also have to understand why it was that they mattered to you. And you have to understand what you gained by letting them go. You gained space, you gained more focus to put towards the things that do matter, the things that you learned mattered because you've lived all of this life and you probably fought tooth and nail to hold on to these things that you thought were of like the most maximum significance. And then you realized, oh shit, like this has no bearing on my life, on my happiness. In fact, it's kind of been a drag. Why am I trying to bring this into the future? This thing needs to be left alone in the past. This thing, you need to unshackle yourself from that shit, and then you need to turn to the person next to you and teach them what the fuck you learned by letting go of that. And the wisdom and the spiritual and emotional and psychological maturity and wisdom that you gained through that trial, through that personal, what may have felt like a sacrifice, and it turned out to be like the biggest blessing and the biggest teaching moment for yourself, and then that becomes the biggest teaching lesson moment, way of imparting wisdom to another person. Living your life in alignment with what is most important to you now allows you to build a present and plans for the future that are in the highest vibrational alignment with you. And Aquarius is all about each individual holding themselves accountable. I hate to use the term bootstrapping themselves, but like it's your responsibility to understand yourself and to what makes you special and what it is, what unique freak flag that you bring to the world, and know that it has its inherent value. And the only way that you can really bring that to fruition so that the entire collective benefits from it is to be as focused on it and as authentic and believe in it, so that other people have that same experience for themselves. And it's Age of Aquarius is all about each individual raising their own individual vibration, which then brings up the vibration of the collective. So one of the quotes that I really liked from this, let me see if I know who did it. The heart is wiser than the intellect. Josiah Gilbert Holland. Also, this is funny. Oh, this is just a silly one. It says, been there, done that, and bought the shirt. Anonymous. Who the fuck said that? Anyway, how did it find its way into this book? I don't know. We'll have to call Linda Hill and say, what the fuck happened? Anyway, the focus is it's not about turning your back on your passions. The passions are really the shiny whatever that you thought were important. And then what still resonates with you after you've like gone through the smoke, you know what I'm saying? After you've like made it through the battle and the fact that everyone has something to teach. Everyone has their own individual experience that they can share with others. And that essentially allows us to acknowledge that we are all teachers and we are all students. We don't need to fight for everyone's attention. We don't need to create problems ourselves. We don't need to create worlds and rules and stuff that are outside of our nature, like the condition that has brought us to this place. We're already powerful and wild and amazing, and we don't need to perform tricks for others just to feel safe or important. In fact, you have to ask yourself, why would you continue to do that if you know that there's a better way to be, and the better way to be is yourself? So that's what the new moon is teaching us, okay? It's a new year, it's a new you. We have to allow ourselves to let go of that which is not serving us, and that is preventing us from being our most authentic selves and from actually being able to pursue that, expanding that to the point of spiritual growth and material gain, or at least security, doing something that is really important to you, as opposed to negating yourself and what you want and absorbing the passion, or at least a value system of someone else, so that you can gain, an excess of material wealth or some kind of control over something that isn't you. Self-mastery, dude. Like, try that. It's a lifelong pursuit, okay? And it's very valuable. In fact, that's what you came here to do. You did not come here to pretend like you don't have opinions and that you don't have your own individual flavor. Instead, you're just like, I'll take whatever that guy's having because that guy has a 150-foot yacht. You know, whatever that guy did to get that, that's what I'm gonna do. Because probably did some really shitty things to a lot of people to get that. And it's just not worth it. So please, you have a better way to do it, all right? Think for yourself, be yourself, and love yourself. Thanks so much. I'm Elise Anamkara for Anamkara Astrology. This has been the new moon report for our new blessed Lunar New Year, the year of the metal ox. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.